What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of Hoops All In. If you guys are new, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our social media at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And don't forget to follow my man to the left of me, Keith Hoops All In, YouTube page at Keith HAI. He does some great work over there, so check him out. We are back here with another episode, and we are right in the midst of the NBA playoffs. But first, before we talk about the playoffs, the finalists, the final three for the NBA awards were just announced. And man, do we have some interesting ones to talk about. So first we'll start with the MVP. Obviously, Shea Gilgeous Alexander is a finalist from the Oklahoma City Thunder. We have Nikola Jokic Joker from the Denver Nuggets, and we also have I think it was Giannis as well too. Giannis
Yep.
Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. So now we got if you want to do the six man, we take turns. If you want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, before I think MVP is pretty spot on the last
Yeah.
three finalists. You want to? What'd you say? Six man.
Yeah, if you want to do six man.
Six man. We got Malik Beasley from the Pistons. We got Ty Jerome from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we got Peyton Pritchard from my Celtics. I think that I think that's pretty good. I'm a little surprised about Ty Jerome over DeAndre Hunter, but
Yeah.
other than that, I think that word. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Okay, so we'll go with Kia Rookie of the Year. We got Stephon Castle from the San Antonio Spurs, who I think is the odds-on favorite to win that award. We got Zachary Ricochet, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, from the Atlanta Hawks, and we got Jalen Wells. Nobody had Jalen Wells as a potential, coming into this year as possibly a finalist for Rookie of the Year. So shout out to Jalen Wells for having a
Second round pick.
outstanding rookie year. Yeah. And then I could do the rest if you want. And then we have the Kia NBA Defensive Player of the Year award. So we have Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks, Draymond Green from the Golden State Warriors, Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think we have any, any disagreement or gripe
That,
with that.
I think that's
Yeah, I think that was okay. That was in our top three. Now this is where shit starts to hit the fan. These are the three finalists for Kia NBA Most Improved Player Award of the Year. We have Cade Cunningham from the Detroit Pistons, Dyson Daniels again, who's up for two awards. Shout out to Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks, and Ivica Zubac from the LA Clippers. This right here was some straight bullshit. There is a glaring name that is missing from this list, and it's the guy who plays for the LA Clippers, Zubac's teammate, which is Norman Powell. How in the hell is Norman Powell not a top three finalist for Most Improved Player of the Year? This guy upped his scoring average 8 points per game last year, and he's up in every statistical category, rebounds and assists. When Kawhi Leonard went down, James Harden had most of the ball handling, but Norman Powell took over a lot of the scoring load for that team. He is a top 25 points per game scorer, averaging almost 22 points a game, 21.9 to be exact. How in the blue hell does Norman Powell not be a top three finalist for Most Improved Player of the Year? And the fact that Cade Cunningham is in that category is also laughable because he was predicted to be good. This was a top pick in the draft just a couple of years ago. This is not for top picks who are supposed to be good. These are for players who are probably late first round picks, second round picks, people who did not have much expectations for them, and then all of a sudden they become good. But for Cade Cunningham to be a top three finalist for Most Improved Player Award of the Year is absolutely, utterly ridiculous. That's some straight bullshit. Powell got robbed. In my opinion, in my, brain, I think he should be the undisputed Most Improved Player of the Year award. This is just absolutely ridiculous. This is why we need to have media personnel stop voting on these awards because they don't know a fucking thing about basketball. That's my rant about this. What do you got? What do you think about this, Keith? For the three finalists for Most Improved Player.
Yeah, I mean, I think the all of the basketball world's pretty much universal with the Cade Cunningham picks. This really started with like when Ja won it. Ja won it, I think, his third year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got guys like Brandon Ingram has won it. Like I said, Ja. There's other people, but like this is for like the Pascal Siakams. This is for the Laurie Markkinens. The people, the other two guys on here, like if you're a top 10 pick and you're getting it, you gotta have like a huge jump. I mean, even like Dyson Daniels, he's like a seventh overall pick or something. But like when he what his the way his first couple years went in, you know, the Pelicans, where he wasn't really looked at too much of like he just didn't have a great start to his career, and now he's, probably, he's a lock for all defensive first team at this point, maybe even defensive player of the year, depending on who you ask. But I mean, he's still improved. I mean, Cade was a number one pick for a reason. Like there's no reason that Cade should be up here. He was projected to be good, and now that he finally took that leap, I don't think I mean, sure, like good to him. I'm glad he took the jump. He got a team around him where he can do something. But I mean, we everyone was expecting this. Again, it's for those unexpected people. I think Norman Powell, I don't know why, like I don't know who sets the finalists for this, because obviously, media, like guys like Kendrick Perkins and, Stephen A. Smith, like those guys vote for it. I don't know if they're who put the finalists, like these three finalists together for all the awards, but yeah, I don't know. I was super surprised by it too. I was like, did he have a bad last, month or two of the season where he dropped below like 20 points or something? But no, like you said, he's just under 22 still, which means he jumped 8 to 9 points still. Again, we did our awards. I didn't have him winning. I had him as my second guy, but the fact that he's not on it at all, um, it is kind of crazy. I mean, again, I would hope is the fourth person if you took Kate off, like on whatever this media or this finalist ranking is, but yeah, I mean, it is crazy. I don't again, I don't know if people aren't impressed by it because of the age thing, like because he's a 32-year-old guy, and this is for, guys who are taking their, young leap, like a young guy who's taking their first leap, and maybe because like Norman Powell's already, but I don't know. I really don't know. But the other two, I think Zubac and Dyson Daniels should all be on it. But I mean, yeah, Cade, Cade isn't on this award, wouldn't be on this ballot for me.
Yeah, they need to make a rule where if you're a first round pick, if you're a first pick in the NBA draft, you should not be eligible for this award because, as I mentioned again, you're expected to be great. You're
Yeah,
expected to be the face of a franchise. You're expected to be multiple time perennial all star. This is for like the 50th pick in the draft or the 32nd pick in the draft, not the number one overall pick in the draft a couple years ago. And number two, you mentioned age. Like Zubac is 28. So he's been in the league for 9 years. So the fact that he's a top three finalist has been in the league for 9 years, that whole age thing, well, Powell's 32. Oh, come on. Zubac is 28. Like again, it's who took the biggest jump from last year to this year. And the fact that again, Powell was averaging just around 22 points a game with a guy who's arguably, when it's all said and done, James Harden is going to be a top 20 points scorer all time in the NBA. That says a lot. Zubac
yeah,
also took a big jump, but
yeah.
not the big of a jump as Norman Powell did. And there was times when Norman Powell single handedly won them games. But it's just I like I said,
I,
I don't know. The NBA, they're not consistent with their criteria, the policy for these awards. I think it's straight bullshit. And like I said, I will always stand firm on this highway robbery. That Powell, a guy who literally upped his scoring average 8 points from last year to this year, is not a finalist for that.
I might have found our answer. Um, if you look at Norman Powell's career, right? He was drafted in 2015. He was drafted in 2015. He was the 46th overall pick. So second overall or second round pick. But if you look at, in 2021, he averaged just under 19 points per game. In 22, he averaged 19 a game. And then the 2 years after, he averaged 19 again, and then 21. I'm wondering if it's because he already, was at this level, and because he had a really bad year last year to where, 13 points, but a bad year because he had James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and I think even Russell Westbrook all on that
Yeah.
team with him. There was a lot of mouths to feed, so he didn't have a great statistical year. He still shot 43% last year, but last year he averaged 14, the year before 17, and now that he's back to where he's back to where he should be, within the 19, maybe that's why, because he was good. He had one bad year and now he's back to good. That would be my assumption as to why that some people maybe aren't favorable of him, or as why he's not maybe eligible. I don't know. Again, I don't know who makes these finalist awards or anything, but if I had to guess, that would probably be my answer to
Yeah.
why he's not on here. But I mean, and then the last couple awards we got, I mean, clutch player of the year, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Nikola Jokic. Makes sense to me. Kind of
Yeah.
surprised a little. I'm a little surprised about Ant Man over like Trey Young or something,
Yeah. I
but
was surprised about that
because
too.
I think Trey Young was leading in clutch points for a while. I don't know where he stands now, but and then coach of the year, Kenny Atkinson, JB Bickerstaff, Ime Udoka. I think that's perfect. You can maybe make an argument for like a JJ over an Ime
Hmm.
Udoka, but I think the Rockets going from missing the play-in last year to the 2 seed. I think Ime deserves it a little bit more than a first-year JJ.
I think in my gut, I think they might give it to Kenny Atkinson because
I
I
think
think
they
he
will
just won
too.
the like National Basketball Association NBA Coaches Award, Coach of the Year. So that
Absolutely.
might just be an indication because again, Cavs won 64 or some games, but
Yeah.
also the Cleveland Cavaliers were a good team last year.
They were. They went through injuries, but they were still basically a 51 team.
Yeah,
The jump's good. The jump is good, but I mean, that's like if you're giving Mark Day and all of the Thunder the award, kind of. I mean,
just again, yeah.
nobody. I don't think people thought the Cavs were going to win 64 games or go on, two 15-game winning streaks in the same year and all that. But I mean,
But hold on,
JB
let me.
Bickerstaff.
Oh,
What's up?
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
mean, JB Bickerstaff, I mean, improved 30 wins. Then they like you could maybe convince me if the Pistons were in the play in, maybe they lost the first play in game and they snuck in as the 8th seed. Maybe I would be on board with a Kenny Atkinson, but I think this is JB's award completely.
Yeah, and I agree. And this is what I'm saying too. I wanted to say last year the Cleveland Cavaliers had what? They had 48 wins, right? They
Yeah.
were top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. They
Yeah.
fired JB Bickerstaff, the same coach who got him to 48 wins. He goes to the Detroit Pistons and improves their wins from 30. They won 14 games last year to over 44 this year.
Yeah.
So you fire the same guy, he goes to another team, duplicates that success. That right there should be all you need to know. Is like, oh, that right there should be the linchpin in
Yeah.
him winning that award.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Kenny Atkinson was like he was my like first for a long time, pretty much up until the end of the season. I think he's still a close second, but I kind of think it would be crazy to not give it to JB Bickerstaff just because
Yeah.
it's like the Pistons and the Rockets are like the story of the NBA going from missing the playoffs to being solidified in. And I really think that honestly, Ime Udoka and the Rockets get looked over too because of what the Pistons are doing. Like
Mhm.
going from they were battling with the Warriors at the end of the season last year to who's going to get that 10th seed between the Warriors and the Rockets. And then they ultimately ended up missing it to being the 2 seed in a jam-packed West to where like it wasn't even really close. Like they had the 2 seed wrapped up for the last week or two of games. So I think Ime Udoka is getting looked over. I don't think he's gonna win, but I'm just saying, like, if the Pistons weren't doing what they were doing, I mean, I think the Rockets would be getting a lot more, light on their name.
One guy improved the team from 14 wins to 44 wins this season. That's 30 win difference. Another
Hmm.
guy improved the team from 48 wins to 64 wins. That's 16 win difference.
Yeah,
I think I don't know. My math is not the best, but 30 wins is much higher than 16 wins. Like I said, I think JB Bickerstaff should be easily the favorite to win, and he should win. Probably not. They're gonna give it to Kenny Atkinson, but JB Bickerstaff should win. Number 2 should be Ime Udoka. Number 3 should be Kenny Atkinson. Because, like you mentioned again, what Udoka's doing in that gutted West with a young team. I think their oldest player is probably Fred Van Vliet.
Yeah, I don't think he's that. I don't even know if he's. I think he's 30, maybe on the dot.
Yeah. So doing that with the young, inexperienced team, all the credit and hats off to him.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think all the awards start to get announced. I don't know if it's this week or next week. I think they, like do them one at a time, sort
Yeah.
of on TNT. They'll come out, but that's what we got for our award
Oh,
finalists.
yeah,
What's
we
up?
got one more. We got the sixth man of the year. Malik Beasley from the Pistons, Ty Jerome from the Cavs, and Peyton Pritchard from the Boston Celtics. You got anything wrong with this list, or you think that they got it right with the top three finalists?
We did this.
Oh,
Remember I
we
said
did.
DeAndre Hunter, I think, should be over Ty Jerome?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're
All
right. My
right.
bad. All
We're
right.
cool. I mean, but again, I think Ty Jerome would be fourth on my list, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest. But
I didn't even have him as top five. That was my only shock about that.
yeah, I mean, I know we had the other two. Like I had Pritchard,
Mhm,
you had Beasley as winning, so I don't
mhm.
think it really matters to either of us too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. We had our game ones for every team has had one game in the NBA playoffs so far. I kind of like how they did it where Saturday it was like the three through six seeds played, and then yesterday was all like the high 1, 2 seeds played.
Mhm.
But the first game we can start off with. Let's start off with let's Minnesota versus LA. Minnesota being the 6 seed, LA the 3 seed. They won 117-95. Luca had a pretty good first playoff game as a Laker, notching in 37 points and 8 rebounds. Um, LeBron had 19, Reeves had 16. But on the other side, we saw Jaden McDaniels have a pretty efficient night, 25 points on 11 for 13 from the field. Anthony Edwards had 22, almost a triple double. And then Nas Reed. Nas Reed played pretty good. I mean, 23. When you have a guy like Rudy Gobert who's a stiff big and can't do much offensively, and you can just replace that for a Nas Reed who can play 30 plus minutes for you, that's pretty valuable. But what'd you think about this first game where the Wolves beat the Lakers by 22?
I was honestly genuinely shocked. I thought the Lakers were gonna win, especially game one on their home court. But
Mhm.
Minnesota had other ideas. Again, it was a evenly distributed points throughout the starters.
Mhm.
Luca had a great first game in his playoff debut
Yeah.
as a Laker. Where in the hell was LeBron James? Boy, he had 17,
Yeah.
19 points. His
Nice.
age showed in that game. That was just an atrocious. You want to talk about somebody who deserves to be blamed for that loss? It has to be LeBron. Luca did his thing. LeBron, you was MIA. All right. And then that was the thing that we talked about when we had our playoff predictions. It was like, okay, Luca or LeBron, and maybe both are gonna get exposed on defense. Also, we all know Luca's gonna be somewhat of a defensive liability, but LeBron showed that he was a true defensive liability against the Timberwolves. He needs to step it up again. He's 40 years old, but he takes tremendous care of his body. That's never ever been an excuse in his entire career. But yeah, shout out to Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves again. You like you said, he had 22 points. I believe he had what like 8 rebounds, 9 assists, almost had a triple double his first game.
Yep.
So he is a really do it all player. It's gonna nice to see again how the Lakers bounce back in game two because if they go down 0-2 to the Timberwolves, you gotta win two straight in Minnesota. You do not want to
Yeah.
come back to LA down 3-1. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, Luca have almost 40 and you still lose by over 20.
that's crazy.
I mean, rough. I mean, again, sure, LeBron maybe didn't have the statistical output that you wanted, but only having 19. But I mean, it's not the worst game. I mean, 2 steals, 3 blocks as well for LeBron. I mean, sure, he didn't do the scoring, but like, that's not, I mean, between the both of them, that's almost 60 points that they had. And if you're still losing by 20, I mean, it's going to be rough. I mean, now I don't think Jaden McDaniels is going to shoot 85% from the field on 13 shots for the rest of the
Yeah.
series. But I mean, I've talked about the Timberwolves. I said they're a lower seed. They might even have been in the play-in, but they're not a team to sleep on. I mean, Anthony Edwards, I think, is a top 3 scorer in the NBA today. They've got all the defensive bodies you want: Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, uh, Julius Randle, even Nikhil Alexander Walker, Devin Chins. Like they've got so many players. I mean, they've got, to me, they probably have three of the like 8 or 10 best bench players in the league between Naz Reid, DiVincenzo, and Nikhil Alexander Walker. And I mean, the depth matters when you look at the Lakers and you see Jared Vanderbilt doesn't do a damn thing on the offensive side, only played 14 minutes. Dorian Finney Smith played 33 minutes and was 1 for 5, only 3 points. Gabe Vincent 3 point. Like nobody's scoring unless it's Reeves, LeBron, or Luca. I mean, Rui even only had 9 points. They're not getting much help outside the three of them. And if at least two of them aren't going for close to 30 each, it's like I don't know how, I don't know what the Lakers do. Now, again, just the first game doesn't, there's still potentially 6 more games in the series left. It's JJ Redick's first playoff series as a coach. We Everybody knows the first game is like a trial run in the playoffs. You play each other, you see what they do, and you adjust for the next game. And then after game 2, you adjust for the third game. There's still, it's too early to say, oh, Timberwolves in 4 or whatever. But again, I'm not surprised if Timberwolves win this series, even as the lower seed.
Yeah. They
Um,
they they match up well against the Lakers,
they
man. They
do.
match up well.
I'm telling you, last year when they were playing the Mavericks in the finals, as a Celtics fan, I was more worried about the Timberwolves because of what they can do defensively and offensively. The Mavericks
Mhm.
had the offense between Kyrie and Luca, but defense is really what it comes down to in the playoffs. But yeah, the other 3-6 game we had the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks win 123 to 112. Jalen Brunson had a hell of a game, 34 and 8. Cat was getting to his spots. He was shot 72% from the field. He had 23 and 11. OG was clamping Cade Cunningham up this game. Cade didn't really have a great game, even though his numbers don't look the worst, having 21 and 12. You had a great Tobias Harris game that pretty much didn't do anything for you. Great
Mhm.
Malik Beasley game didn't do anything for you. But I think with this game and this series, what it comes down to, even though I don't like using the experience card on, because I don't think that playoffs just comes down to experience like a lot of people think, but experience won the Knicks this game. I don't, whatever you say. I mean, sure, they have Tobias Harris. Sure, they have Malik Beasley, who's played in the playoffs many of times, but the Knicks were better, more experienced. That's what got them this win. Um,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, OG is going to be the X factor. You just mentioned he locked up Cade Cunningham. He forced Cade Cunningham to shoot 38% from the field and 25% from three. So when you shut down opposing team's best player, which again is very, very young, wet behind the ears, doesn't have little to much playoff experience, that's going to do you wonders. You're not going to, Tobias Harris is not going to win you a game. Like you mentioned, had a great first game. Well, he had what he shot over 80% from fucking three, 61% from the field, but he is not going to win you a game shooting, scoring about 25 points. Again, I wish Cat could have probably did a little bit more on the offensive end, but Cat, he's going to bounce back. Cameron Payne came in and knocked down had some key
Yes.
moments in game two, so he was an underrated player. Josh was going to do what he did, even though he didn't have the greatest game. He could explode for a triple double at any moment. But man, I think that this series, again, the toughness is going to favor the Pistons, but their lack of experience and athletes, especially wings, against the Knicks, is just going to be too much for them to overcome. I think they might be able to still one game at MSG because I am giving
Yeah.
this team a lot of credit, but it's
Hmm.
over in six. They're just too
Yeah.
much for the Knicks.
I was talking about my video. I mean, I wanted Asar Thompson played 23 minutes, but obviously him and Ron Holland only played 6 minutes. But like I liked what Asar had, some good possessions on Jalen Brunson. Specifically, the one I remember is he just, Cade was trying to come up the court. Asar was pressing him full court, and he just beat him to his spot, and Brunson just walked right out of bounds, and it was a turnover on Brunson. So I'd like to see more minutes of Asar Thompson. again, I know that the shooting, it's never going to be pretty, but when you like if you have Duran out of the game and you got Isaiah Stewart who can stretch the floor a little bit, I don't mind having an Asar Thompson in at the 3 or 4 so you can get a bigger body on Jalen Brunson, who's a pretty physical guard for his size. But
Mhm.
yeah, the toughness too. I mean, I think we all knew like they were going to go at Cat's head because Detroit likes to get downhill. Just if you look at who's on their team, Cade, again, the athletic guys, like I said, they got Jalen Duran. So I think Cat's going to be tested in this series, and I thought he responded pretty well. I mean, he had 4 steals and 2 blocks. But yeah, I mean, sure, he could have done more. He could have taken more shots because if you're shooting 71% from the field as a star, that means you probably didn't shoot enough because you shouldn't be shooting that much. So I can agree with that, but and also with the Piston, I do think the Pistons could steal a game or two. I think we said in our video last week that we said Knicks in 6 probably, but there's a part of me where it's like I won't be surprised if the Pistons get swept.
Mm. I mean, they the Knicks did start the fourth quarter a 21-0 run, right?
Yeah,
They had it, yeah. They so
they won the fourth quarter 40-21.
yeah,
So
so that was just
that's what it comes
not a
down
good look.
to.
Yeah.
Another blowout. We had the Indiana Pacers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. I did not watch this game live, but from what looking back at the game and kind of looking at stats and what people did, it looks like Giannis tried all he could. Giannis tried, he tried, but I mean he ended with 36 and 12. Um, I mean, he had some good minutes from Kevin Porter Jr., AJ Green, I guess. They scored like 12 and 15 points, but they didn't have Dame. We saw the moment Dame had with Tyrese Halliburton at the end of the fourth quarter there. They were, talking. I'm I'm worried for the Bucks because it did come out that Dame he's going to come back in this series. They don't know if it'll be game 2 or game 3. But my thing is, if he comes back game 3 and the Milwaukee Bucks lose game 2, um, and they're down 0-2, is it too late for Damian Lillard to come back? Now, grant sure they could win. We've seen that the Bucks can come back and win 4 out of 5 games, even if they're down 0-2. But I, I don't know. It might be too late by the time Dame comes back if he's not coming back this next game.
Yeah, I agree. And remember, we talked about this in our playoff prediction. We said that if the Bucks do not have Damian Lillard for this series, or even if he comes back a game or two late, it's
Yeah.
over for them because they lost to this team last year. And
Yep.
what cost them that series? Injuries.
Yeah.
Giannis went down, Dame went down, series was over. But when you have Turner going off for 19 points, Nemhard contributed with 17.
Hmm.
Even Mathurin had 13 points, and Giannis was a one-man wrecking crew, as you said, and he didn't get much contributions, from guys who usually score. Like Bobby Portis can give you 10, 15. He only gave you like what? 2
4.
points, I think, 4 points. Brooke Lopez had 9 points. You need more points than that. Ken Porter Jr. had a solid game, but when you have your other veteran guards, other veteran players, excuse me, not contributing the way that they should, especially when you're missing a average 25-point a night scorer, that's not gonna bode well for you. Like I said, Giannis was a one-man wrecking crew. But if you neutralize all the other players, and especially Dame's not playing this series, it's over in 4, if not 5 at best. Gentlemen sweep. But
Yeah, I didn't even mention the pace. It just looked like the Pacers. They got everyone in. Everyone was involved. I mean,
mhm.
everybody did their part. Everyone did a little bit more than they were supposed to. But before we move on, we almost glimpsed over the glaring hole in the Milwaukee Bucks starting lineup of last game. Kyle Kuzma, man,
Oh,
22 minutes, not a single stat. 0 for
yep.
5. He had 2 personal fouls. He was a minus 24 on the game. What I mean, and now I don't remember who I don't remember. I think it was Doc Rivers had a press conference talking about how Kyle Kuzma he wasn't being included, I guess. That you're the coach. Like you're the one that's getting hit. You're the one that's drawing up the plays. You're the one doing all this. And you're talking about how Kuzma's not being used correctly. I don't understand that when he's your third best player hype, like, in theory. I mean, he was a good player for the Lakers when they won their ring in 2020. He's been a good player. He's clumsy. He's a little goofy at sometimes, but he can be an 18 point per game scorer if you need him to. And I mean, he didn't even have a turnover. It's not like he even it almost looks like he didn't even try to do anything. And again, I did not watch this game live. I was watching a little bit before the this Knicks and Pistons game starts, but I mean, I just nothing, 22 points and 22 minutes and nothing. I mean, that might be the worst. I know there's players that have gone more minutes, like Tony Snell, obviously 28 minutes, I think, in zero stats, but this is the playoffs. This is worse than Tony Snell's 28 minutes with nothing or whoever else has done this. So, I mean, you have that, this series is over. I mean, if Kuzma's hopefully not going to do this again, but if you can't get anything good from Kuzma, then I don't know. The Bucks are in trouble even after this series ends.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Doc Rivers is the type of person, I don't know how the hell he keeps getting coaching opportunity after coaching opportunity after coaching opportunity, because some of those things that comes out of his mouth when you read the quotes is just astronomical. You said it. Well, he didn't get going. It's hard to score points when you don't touch the ball. Well, motherfucker, figure it out. You're the head coach for a reason. 22 minutes and you have a big fat donut all across the board. Kyle Kuzma was out there doing cardio. Us, me, you, Kyle Kuzma, me, Keith, and everybody else in the world had the same amount of points as Kyle Kuzma did, and we were sitting at home watching the game on our couch. That is just unbelievable. You can't do that, especially again. They acquired you at deadline. They wanted you to be that third option scorer. This would have been a perfect time for Kuzma to step up, to give you 50. If he gave you 15 points, they probably would have won this game. But a big fat donut all across the board? Oh, hell no.
I've
Mm-mm.
I've got it right here. Doc Rivers says it's hard to score when you don't touch the ball.
Well,
Kyle
figure it
got
out.
two, Kyle got two shots in the first half, both with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Kuzma can play. We just got to involve him, and we got to make sure to keep him involved.
That's
That
your job as the
sounds like
coach.
that literally sounds like a you pro. Like that is the definition of what your job is as the head coach over there. And yeah, I mean, he's living off that damn 2008 championship. I really don't know. I believe he's blown the most 3-1 leads in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs too. Um, and that there was a thing that came out even earlier this year about that, where he was like, "I don't get credit for winning those 3 games in those 3-1 series. You shouldn't. You blew a 3-1 lead, which doesn't happen very often, and you did it. I'm pretty sure in back-to-back years with like the Clippers or whoever. I don't even remember all the teams he's coached since then, but I know the Clippers were one of them. But I don't know. The Bucks are in for a long series again. I Even if Dame comes back, I don't know. But now maybe the most interesting game of that night: Denver Nuggets versus LA Clippers. Overtime game. Nuggets ended up winning 112 to 110. This is the one series. I think we agreed on Denver when we did our video. This is the one series, even though it's only been one game. I think I'm switching. I think I'm picking Clippers to win this series.
Really?
The Nuggets are so bad defensively. It is so horrible how bad they are defensively. The amount of times that I saw James Harden and Zubac, who, yes, they are one of the best pick and roll duos we have in this league, where I saw Zubac, slip the screen. He got the pass from James Harden, and then Chris Dunn or Derek Jones Jr. just slipped back door and got an easy layup or dunk because Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr. wasn't paying attention to the baseline, was insane. I think they did it literally back to back plays as well. And that's a thing that Denver loves doing with Jokic and Aaron Gordon, where they do the pick and roll, and Aaron Gordon slips behind and catches an alley oop or something like that. But Denver's defense is so bad. It was hard to watch. I mean, Jokic ended up with 29, 9, and 12, a typical Jokic stat line. He was great. Murray had 21. Gordon even had 25 points. And I mean, Westbrook, it was looking like Westbrook was going to get crucified with the way he ended that regulation with that trying to get off a shot, but threw it off James Harden stuff. But then he got the game winning steal off Harden in overtime. I mean, James Harden tried. He had 32 and 11, Zubac 21, Kawhi 22, but I think I'm picking. I think the Clippers can and will come back, and I think they ultimately end up winning this series and probably seven.
Man, I'm sticking with the Denver Nuggets to win this series because the Clippers were up 15. They blew a 15-point lead to the
Mhm.
Nuggets. And again, like you mentioned, Harden was cooking. Nobody could stay in front of him. He dropped 32. Kawhi Leonard had a decent game. But if Aaron Gordon continues to play like this, he dropped in 25 points and 8 rebounds in game one. Obviously, he's not going to score 25 points throughout, but if he could give you at least well above 20 points per game, I think that they're in for a long shot. Not to mention, Michael Porter Jr. had a horrendous game, and he's supposed to be the team's third or fourth best player. So you got probably what 1 point from him. If Porter could step it up and score what he usually scores, Aaron Gordon could keep somewhat of that same level of intensity and consistency. Jamal Murray gave you again 21. Russell Westbrook, like you just mentioned, man. Everybody wants to shit on Russ. There is some plays where you just scratch your hand and be like, what the hell is this guy doing?
For
But in
sure.
other plays, he makes it up because again, he had that game winning steal, had good defensive possession. He had a huge three in that corner. I believe that put him up by
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
So there's plays where you're gonna have to live and die with Russell Westbrook's antics on the court. Some of the players you're just like, what the hell is this guy doing? Others like, thank you, Russ. He shows his intensity and he has a clutch back. He has a clutch gene as well too. But yeah, if Michael Porter Jr. could give you more than 1 point a game, I think that it's going to be a long series because the Clippers are no slouch, but it could go to 6, maybe 7. But the Clippers are known for blowing leads, and they have James Harden, who's a universal choke artist. This man always blows gas when it is in crucial moments. And he, again, it's not his fault, but he always seems to be the common denominator on teams when they have a lead and they just blow it. Same thing when Kawhi Leonard was facing the Dallas Mavericks in the bubble a couple of years ago. They was up and they blew it against, I believe, what was it against the same team, Denver Nuggets? They blew it. They was
Yeah.
up 3-1.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers, who we just talked about in the last segment. So this team, this organization, something over the Clippers cloud. Every time when they have big leads, they always just blow it. So I'm sticking with the Denver Nuggets. Again, they got the best player in the world in Jokic. I
Yeah.
do not trust a team that constantly blows big leads in series.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I'm switching because I believe in the offense and the defense and the Clippers, and instead of just the offense for the Nuggets. But again, I mean, you got Jokic, you got the best player, and you got the best player in the league on your team, so you definitely can win the series. You always have a chance to make a finals, even win a finals, pretty much with when you got a guy like that. But I just don't like what I see defensively and
Yeah.
from them, and because I mean, Jamal Murray coming into the playoffs banged up. Aaron Gordon's came into the NBA into the playoffs banged up as well. Again, Aaron Gordon's not going to give you 25. I don't care who, it was a great game, but Aaron Gordon's like a 16-point guy. He'll get you some lobs. He'll maybe hit a three or two. He'll maybe hit one or two threes in the game, but I just think that the overwhelming defense, and if Harden and Kawhi can do this and Kawhi is healthy, yeah, I can I'll believe in the Clippers. So um the next series we got is Cleveland and Miami. Cleveland ended up winning at 121 to 100. Not a very entertaining game, if I would say so. I mean, all the three guards, Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Ty Jerome, all had 27 to 30 points. They 42% from three as a team, and the Heat are just ass. I mean, the Cavs should sweep. I don't like this Heat team. If I'm being honest, I'm not a big hero guy. He had a great season. He made his first All Star appearance, but I don't believe that what he can do will win if maybe he can win a game, but he won't win two. Bam hasn't had the greatest season. He's still a good defender, but he hasn't had the same season. And then, I mean, these other guys like Wiggins, you got Davion Mitchell's had a pretty good, play-in and
Mhm.
playoff first playoff game on this team. I will say for the Heat, but I think the Cavs have should. I think the Cavs should sweep them.
Yeah, I think it'll be at most a gentleman sweep in 5 games. You know, the Heat team, they're rebuilding. I think they're the first 10 seed to make it
They
to a
are.
play-in and playoffs. So shout out to them. That just goes to the greatness of Coach Eric Spoelstra and that Miami Heat organization. But they
Mhm.
just don't have the personnel. They don't have the matchup to match up against this team. They don't have the bodies. They don't have the guards. They don't have the wings. Again, this series is over before she wrote. You know, maybe Tyler Hero and Bam could give you a game, but other than that,
Yeah.
Davion Mitchell is not going to score you 18 points consistently in this series. Andrew Wiggins is, 14 points. He usually should score 18. Duncan Robinson, who has overstayed his welcome with the Heat because ever since he signed that massive contract extension, he has been dog shit. That has just been awful. Hick Smith, he's a solid player. Alex Burke, veteran. Khalil Well, again, who's a future star for this team. So is Jaquez, but everybody else in this team. Miami again, they just extended their season for another week or two. They're going home in 5.
Yeah. Did
So yeah,
Hawkins even? Did Hawkins even? Hawkins played a minute.
yeah, he
Like
played a minute.
I
Yeah,
don't I don't understand what's happened to him over there because he's starting to fall out the rotation, which is
yeah.
what surprises me. But um, another one seed, probably the biggest beatdown that we'll see in this playoffs. The biggest margin of victory in a game one. The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Memphis Grizzlies 131 to 80, a 51-point game. And the thing that scares me is Shea had a awful game. Shea, I mean, 4 for 13, 1 for 7. He only had 15 points. Um, he only played 23 minutes, but I mean, he didn't need to play, but this was a J-Dub and Hartenstein game. Their connection on the floor, J-Dub was pretty good. Hartenstein's got that floater, man, down. He's 7 for 8 from the field. I mean, even Chet had 19, Aaron Wiggins 21, Lou Dort had 12. I this was another game where they did what they were supposed to. They got a little bit of everything from anyone that they needed, and it was a massacre. I mean, Memphis was 6 for 34 from 3, which equates to under 18%. Um, I mean, you can't even look. I mean, Memphis got to the free throw line 12 times. The Thunder got to there 15 times, so you can't say anything about a free throw discrepancy. I mean, Memphis had 22 turnovers to OKC's 15.
Mm.
It was just a beatdown. I mean, Memphis is a good team, but OKC is one of the best teams of all time, regular season wise. So I don't have much to say with this. I mean, I think Memphis can get a game. I think Memphis can for sure get a game because they're not going to lose by 50 every game, every game in this series. And if they do, they need to trade everyone. Jaren, Ja, everyone.
Yeah, I think the Memphis Grizzlies should be all ashamed of themselves. That was
Yeah.
an atrocious performance. Nobody came up and played. That was utterly ridiculous. Me, you, and our family members could have played more competitively in that game one against the Thunder than they played. Absolutely atrocious. There
Mhm.
is no way in hell the Memphis Grizzlies should have Marvin Bagley the third outscoring Desmond Bain.
Shooting
There,
perfect from the
there
field.
is no way Bagley should ever outscore your second best player in that series. Jaron Jackson Jr. What the hell? 4 points?
Yeah.
Four. I know
Yeah.
you're more of a defensive minded player, but you could get more than 4 points. You at least could get you 18, 20. 4 points. Nobody, hell, even Ja. I mean, Ja had 17 points, but 35% from the field.
Yeah.
Nobody on that team showed up. It was just a beatdown. And this was the Oklahoma City Thunder saying, stop playing with us. They hear the noise. Oh, this team is too young. Oh, this team, this and that. There's a reason they won back-to-back 60-plus games. They said, no, we are for real. There's a reason why they have to presume MVP on their team. There's a reason why they have arguably the best executive in Sam Presti on that organization. This team is for real. They had playoff experience last year. They lost. They know what it takes. They know how that loss feels. This team is going to go to the Western Conference Finals, if not the NBA Finals. This was them a message to everybody else in the league saying, "Yo, we're head and shoulders of above everybody." There's a reason why they won 68 games, as you mentioned. I think that's like top 5 in wins for from a team ever in NBA history. They told y'all stop playing with us. Even Shea had a horrible game, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
Aaron Wiggins stepped up. Jalen Williams stepped up. Chet Holmgren stepped up. They had between 19 and 21 points, and it was a dismantled beatdown. They said, stop playing with us. We are coming for that Larry O'Brien trophy. And the Memphis Grizzlies, man, just start planning your vacations a week early in advance because you're going home in 4, if not 5. It's going to be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. The most entertaining part about that game for the Grizzlies was Marvin Bagley's beyond half court shot he made at the end of the half, I think.
Yeah, literally.
It was it was a beatdown. And I mean Marvin Bagley, I mean he was 8 for 8. He only played 16 minutes and he was the leading scorer or tied for the leading scorer. So
It's crazy.
it was bad. 2 seed versus 7 seed. My Celtics beat the Magic 103-86. Behind a 30-point performance from Derek White, who was on fire. Pritchard had only played 25 minutes but had 19 points. Tatum and Brown didn't have the best games. They had 16 and 17 points. I mean, Porzingis only had 5 points. It was a weird scoring game for the Celtics, but Palo tried, man.
Yeah.
36 and 11. Even Franz had 23, but there's a reason that the Orlando Magic have the second best defense in the league, but they have the 30th ranked offense in the league. And if I remember correctly, there's 30 teams in the NBA. So the Orlando Magic have the worst offense in the league, and it showed. Um, I mean, you have Palo and Fran. Palo had 36, Franz had 23. The next scoring leader was Jonathan Isaac with 7. And Jonathan Isaac is not on a basketball team to score the ball. He is on there. He's on the floor to defend, and the leading scorer was 7 points. I mean, other than that, other than those two that I said, Palo and Franz, nobody else took over 5 shots.
Disgrace.
I mean, it's gonna be rough. I mean, their defense is great. They held a lot of our guys to not a lot of points or bad efficiency, but this was bad. I mean, the first half was pretty interesting. It was close. Again, Paulo was cooking for sure. He was scoring. He was making a bunch of threes. But when you don't have much help, your team's not doing much for you, and you're playing against the defending champs, then yeah, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Some people on Twitter thought that this was possibly upset, that the Magic could upset Boston. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. This was just a prime example. It was like, yeah, this game is most likely going to be sweep as well. Again, but the Magic, they dealt with injury throughout the whole year,
They
so no
did.
surprise. But you mentioned Paulo is a stud, 36 points. My God. But Isaac can't give you 7. KCP, where the hell have you been? 6 points in
Yeah.
that game. Cole Anthony, 4 points. Wendell Carter Jr., 4 points. Anthony Black, 3 points. You can't get under 10 points from those guys if you expected to even stand a chance against the defending NBA champions. And as you mentioned, the fact that Tatum and Brown did not play their greatest games and they still won by 20 so points,
Mhm.
that spells trouble. They're not Derek White is not going to score 30 points every single night now. Now again, he's a good scorer. He'll give you 20, maybe 15 to 20, but
Mhm.
not 30. Payne
Yeah.
Pritchard is again probably the favorite for 6 man of the year. He's on the fire. But we talked about the other players for the Celtics that didn't play great. Porzingis played 26 minutes. He only gave you 5 points. He's a good 15, 20 point a night scorer when he's healthy. Al Horford, even though he's up there in age, he played 25 minutes, only gave you 5 points. He can easily get you 10, 15 points. So if you're Orlando Magic, he's like, yes, our guys didn't play that well, but they also had more guys who didn't play that well as well too. This series is over in 4. It's gonna be a sweep. Orlando doesn't stand a chance, and I think the Celtics are showing the hunger that says no. Like everybody is complaining about last year's title was a fluke because they got through injuries. They're gonna want to sweep through the first 2 rounds. That's my prediction. But yeah.
Can I ask your opinion? What do you think of our coach, Missoula?
Oh, I love Missoula. There was
Okay,
a moment where I think Jason Tatum went up for a dunk and then
yeah,
he fell and then he hurt his wrist. And
that's
then
what I'm
you
talking
see and then you see Missoula told the trainers like, no, don't go, no, don't go and help him. He's like, get up. I was
Yeah,
like, that right there. Everybody wants to talk about the Kobe Bryant mama mentality until it's time to show that Kobe Bryant mama mentality. And Joe Missoula, listen, Joe Missoula, that motherfucker crazy. He does MMA, Ramaga, Jiu-Jitsu. So if you want to go say something crazy to him, he'll beat the shit out of you. But Joe Mazzulla, everybody wants to talk tough, but he's actually like is tough, and he's instilling that toughness into his players. Like, yeah, I get it, guys. It's the playoffs. Everybody's banged up. You're gonna get nicked here and there. You're dealing with aggravated injuries. But if you're serious about repeating as champions, you gotta have that mental toughness. He's like, nah, Tatum, you're our best player. Get up. Come on. Let's brush it off. We need
yeah,
you. Get back in there. That's what
yeah.
that's
That's why I asked because a lot of people don't like the get up thing because
I loved it.
whatever. But like
They
he's
never
holding.
played sports
First
in
of
their
all,
life. They never liked it.
he's right. He's being tough and he's holding his best players accountable, which we just saw Mike Malone got fired for because he wasn't holding, some of his best guys accountable. And he's you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a head coach. He's being a coach, and I hate that I'm the one talking about this because I'm a Celtics fan, so it makes it seem like I'm, whatever. But he's one of the guys that don't treat their players like they're untouchable humans. You can't say anything to them. And he, that reminds me of it honestly reminds me of Dan Hurley, if I'm being honest. Like a lot of people don't like Dan
Mm.
Hurley because he acts crazy or he gets fired up or he's, you know, tough on his guys and even tough on the on the refs and stuff. I think
Bro.
Dan Hurley's a little more out there than Joe Mazzulla is, but I mean, it's like he's being a coach, he's doing what he's supposed to do. And it's working. He won a ring last year and his first year he was a game away from being in the finals, and this year they might be back in the final. Like it just, I don't know. That's why I brought that up because a lot of people are like don't like that for whatever reason. I'm like, so that's all. That's why I had to ask.
Who
But
listen, whoever doesn't like that, never played a sport in their life, doesn't have any type of mental toughness or whiny bitches. Okay, I get it. Yeah, so you want if you fall down, you get hurt. Also, you want to get taken care of. You want the trainers
yeah,
and the staff to look at you. But bro, we're talking about the highest level of basketball competition. This team won a championship. As now it takes physical toughness. It takes a lot of mental toughness as well. You're gonna be banged. You're gonna be bruised. He's instilling to his players that toughness. You want to repeat? This is what's gonna have to take. Everybody's complaining. Tell them shut the fuck up. They don't know nothing about sports.
and if Tatum broke his wrist or something, people acting like Missoula's not going to let a trainer go over there.
Exactly.
Like, come,
He
like,
saw the
Tate,
yeah, he saw it.
if Tatum took maybe 5 minutes to get, if it really didn't look good or something, Joe Mazzulla is not going to have a trainer not go and check out his best player and a guy the guy he pushes more than anything because he sees all the criticism that is on Tatum's name and Tatum's plate. So that's why I asked. But and then our last series we have I think maybe the second most entertaining game one is Houston Rockets versus Golden State Warriors. The Warriors won 95 to 85. They stole the first game on the Rockets home floor, but I don't know. I'm still confident in the Rockets. I'm pretty sure we picked the Rockets last week to win just because we like, the youthfulness and the athleticism and what they can do defensively. But I mean, 6 for 29 from three for Houston as a team, which means less than 21%. And if I'm being honest, that definitive number one option that they don't have, I think might have been the reason that they lost this game and were only able to put up 85 points. I mean, Sengun had 26 and 9. Um, that's really it for the Rockets. Curry had 31, Butler had 25, but we also saw some horrific shooting performances on the Rockets. Jalen Green had 7 points. He was 3 for 15, 0 for 4 from three. And then Fred VanVleet had an even worse game. He had 10 points. he was 4 for 19, but 2 for 13 from 3. And that really I hate that. I mean, Ime Udoka gets a lot of credit from me because he is one of the coaches that like, oh, Jalen Green, you're not scoring, like you should be. Okay, sit down and for the end of this game, and we'll put in Tari Eason because he's doing more, or whoever. It's just an example, but he'll sit his best player if he's not playing well. A lot of teams will just because they're your best player, you think they got to be there to end the game. That's not how Ime Udoka looks, and he does it for everybody except for Fred Van Vliet. I mean, again, Fred Van Vliet was throwing up threes at that end of the game, and he just wasn't hitting them at all, and
Mhm.
it was horrible. I really wish that they took him out of the game for that, but it just I don't know. What do you think about this series so far?
Well, I know we both did big Houston, but that was contingency on Jalen Green's performance and play in
Right.
this series. And if Green is going to score 7 points, shooting 3 of 15 from the field, averaging about 20% from the field, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors because he's supposed to be your second, if not at worst, your third best player. You mentioned they
Yeah.
don't have a true number one. Shangun's the number one, but Jalen Green's supposed to be that number two, and he looked like he was a number 15 in that game. That was atrocious, like you mentioned. Fred Van Fleet was just jacking up threes. You're just like, bro, what the hell? Stop. At what point I wanted to yell at the screen, stop fucking shooting threes.
Yeah.
You're 2 of 13 from three. You've missed 11 3 pointers. Stop fucking shooting threes. He had that same problem in Toronto. There was a part of the reason why he's not there anymore. But again, Fred VanVleet, atrocious. Dylan Brooks, who was your second best player scoring wise, 11 points. He's not supposed to be scoring 11 points. He's made there to be a pest and defense. If Jalen Green does not get his shit together in this series and does not give you an adequate 15 to 20 points a night, because they only lost this game by like what, 10,
Yeah.
90, 80, 95 to 85. If Jalen Green got 8 more points, 10 more points, they probably would have won this game. But yeah, this is just awful. Again, Tyree Eason didn't do much as well too. Only had what, 6 points despite playing almost 21 minutes a game. He needs to score up his scoring average. But I said Jalen Green will be the X factor, and boy, he's also going to be the reason why they lose this series. Steph Curry had a tremendous game. Jimmy
Mhm.
Butler, there's a reason why he's nicknamed um playoff Jimmy because he always shows up in late April, May, and possibly June.
Mhm.
Podzimski as well too, 14 points. He didn't have the best field goal shooting night in terms of 5 of 13 from the field, 38%, almost 39%. But he did also hit some key shots. Again, Gary Payton is there for defense, and Draymond Green's all the way at the bottom of the stat board. I like that he got dunked on by Sengun because he talks so
Bro,
much shit about overseas players. So good for him. Fuck Draymond Green. But other than that, like I said, if Jalen Green don't step his shit up, the Rockets are going home in 5 or 6
Sangoon was giving our defensive player of the year some work.
buckets.
Not
Yeah.
just that game, but not just that play, but he was giving him work all night. Um, but it's so weird. The lineups that the Rockets run sometimes, like it works, it baffles me because there was a time where there was Fred Van Vliet, who's a typically a decent shooter, not tonight. Amen Thompson, who we know is not a great shooter. Jabari Smith Jr., who can be a good shooter, Alperen Sengun, and Steven Adams. So you got three basically centers. You got Amen Thompson, who is not a shooter, and you have Fred Van Vliet out there. And it's just a huge lineup. They are the best offensive rebounding team in the league. And that's why, because they run lineups like that, where you have Steven Adams playing your small forward or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it works too because Steven Adams is a good passer, Alperen Sengun. So, they'll do a pick and roll, and like I said with the Clippers series, where they'll do a pick and roll. One of the centers will have the ball, and then one of the other centers is just backdoor or sitting on the block waiting for the ball to dunk it. So, and it works, and that and the free throws late in the game were almost why that this Rockets team ended up winning the game, but the free throws are also why they lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
11 for 20 from free throws, 50 is 55%. That's bad. That's really bad. You
Yeah.
55% as a team is not great. I mean, I don't a lot of those free throws, I mean, Amen Thompson missed 4. makes sense. And then a lot of people missed one or two, but 11 for 20 is it's bad. And then when you look at the other side and you see that the Warriors had 14, so sure they had six less attempts, but they made 11. They had the same amount of makes on six less free throw attempts. So I think this was I think Houston kind of lost this game more than Golden State won this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still confident. Again, this is just game one. I'm not really switching any of my picks except I think for the Clippers series. But yeah, I mean, you got two playoff closers in the Warriors with Curry and Jimmy Butler. And I mean, you feel pretty good about either of them taking the last shot. Jimmy Butler pretty much had the dagger at the end there to put them up by double digits. And he had a great game 25, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. I don't know if Jimmy Butler does that. If Jimmy Butler has 25 points throughout this series, because even in the regular season, we saw he had a lot of games where it was like 8 points or 11 points, maybe even like 5 points because he really was being passive and he was still kind of meshing with the team. And maybe I'm foolish for doubting playoff Jimmy, but I might be doing it.
You never doubt that.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I just don't know if Curry and Jimmy are both going to score 25 a night each, but all for the rest of these games. And that's not necessarily what they have to do to win, but when I mean, like honestly, the box score of 95 to 85, it's like the game was a lot closer than what that score says. A lot of that was like free throws at the end or just kind of the Rockets couldn't get shots to fall late, with like a minute left, but the fact that they didn't have great games from Fred Van Vliet, Jalen Green, it gives me hope. And I know we've said that for a lot. It's not necessarily like, oh, sure, Jalen Green had 10 more points, they would have won the game because that's not how it works. But
Mhm.
you feel a lot better you know if Dylan Brooks isn't your second leading scorer. So um there's a lot to uh there's a lot for the Rockets to learn. They are obviously underexperienced compared to the Warriors. I mean, it showed a graphic beforehand. It's like this is Jalen Green's first playoff start. Obviously, Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun. So three of their starters, it was their first playoff game. Obviously, Dylan Brooks and Fred Van Vliet have been there 100 times, but um, I still feel pretty good about this series, and I think that other than the Clippers and Nuggets series, I think this might be our next closest series.
Yeah, I do think this series will go, like I said, go to distance, but it still contingents on Jalen Green. If Jalen Green, I'm gonna wait to waiver my pick. If Jalen Green does the same thing that he did in game one and game two, then I'm switching over to Golden State. Because like I said, he is the X factor. And Fred Van Vliet got us to learn how to stop shooting threes. Ahmed Thompson is not really known for his score. He's known
Yeah,
for more for his defensive prowess. So people
he's
who
like
look
an
at the box
athletic
score,
Draymond.
yeah, literally. People's like, oh, he had 8 points and like 6 assists. He's like, no, he's not there for
Yeah,
scoring. He's there for defense. So he'll be put on as either Steph or Jimmy, and he can hold his own against Steph, and he can hold his own against Jimmy Butler.
yeah,
So if he can neutralize one of those top two horses, top two heads, I think he should be fine. But again, it's the offense I'm a little bit worried about because against Shangoon is going to give you 27, but I do not trust Dylan Brooks as your second leading scorer in any game. As we showed, that's why they lost.
yeah,
Again, obviously with free throws, but you have good defenders. Brooks is a pest. Thompson is a best. Fran Fleet is a pest. Even Jadal Green, when he decides to sit in the chair, he can be a little pest as well. Not to the level of Thompson or Fran
yeah,
Fleet, but he can be bothersome because he's tall, he added some muscle, he's athletic. So if they're able to neutralize, they're not going to stop them, but neutralize them, cause them some issues to either Steph or Butler. Because you mainly worry about more than Steph, because Steph attracts a lot of the attention, especially the minute he touches that basketball court beyond half court, because he can launch that motherfucker and it's like a 50-50 chance of it going in. If they can somewhat neutralize Steph and then mainly have Jimmy Butler beat them, because it's like, hey, Jimmy, we know about playoff Jimmy and how great you are come to playoff. but you don't have this. You don't have
Yeah.
no jewelry on your finger. So we're gonna try to make you single-handedly beat us. Yes,
Yeah.
you get take a team to the finals, but you can't close the deal and sit and win the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing. I think again, Steph is gonna be the main target. Throw anybody that you want at Steph. I mean, Thompson's gonna be have the primary coverage. If they're able to neutralize Steph, can't have Steph going off for 31. Can't have Steph making, 5 out of 9 3-pointers. You gotta at least keep him to under 2 3-point made a game.
Hmm.
That is it. Jimmy Butler's gonna do what Jimmy Butler does. They have box to throw at the defenders. I say, you know what? Hey, Draymond Green, beat us, bro, because we know that you're Mr. Triple Single. You're not gonna get over 10 points. So make Draymond Green beat you. Make Butler beat you, or Porzingis beat you. Or Pazimski beat you. Excuse me. Other than that, like I said, I'm gonna see how Green performs in game 2 and how the Rockets again ratchet up their defense on Steph.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was about 50-50 through series on, like, we had a lot of blowouts between, the higher seeds like Cleveland, OKC, Boston. But we had some good games, whether it was the game we were just talking about, the Clippers game,
Mhm.
Pistons game. But before we go, you wanna put out some predictions for just tonight's game? We got
Oh,
Pistons Knicks. I mean, they're in the second quarter right now with 9 minutes left in the second. The Pistons are up 32-25. But do we think you think Pistons are going to win tonight? Are they going to even the series or?
because I do respect this team and JB Bickerstaff is a hell of a coach. I'll give the nod to the Pistons to win because I did say I could see them stealing the game at MSG, so this might be the game for them to steal. So I'm gonna give the nod to Detroit.
Yeah, winning in Madison Square Garden's hard.
Hard, yeah.
They might be up as of right now, but I don't think they get one this early. So
No.
I'm gonna say the Knicks go up 2-0 tonight.
Okay.
Um, I I think Pistons should get at least one game in when they go home, hopefully. But I think I've got Knicks tonight, and then the last game we got Nuggets Clippers. Do Nuggets go up 2-0? Nuggets are the home team, but or do the Clippers take it 1-1?
If I'm the Clippers, I'm obviously very upset and pissed off at myself for blowing a 15-point lead and losing that game in overtime.
Hmm.
I just can't go against the best player in the world in Jokic, man. Porter, if Porter is able to have somewhat of a decent game, because he only had, as I mentioned, 1 point in game 1, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Nuggets. You just never bet against Jokic, even regardless of Mike Malone being there or not. So I'm gonna have to go with the Nuggets going up 2-0. It's gonna be a very, very close and tight game. I think it's gonna be a nail biter, but I'm gonna go with the Nuggets going up 2-0.
All right,
What about
yeah.
you?
Um, we're splitting. We're you pick one team for the
Oh,
first series, I pick the other team, and then same here.
okay.
I'm the Clippers have to win. I don't even know if it's more of a like who I think will win. The Clippers have to win. The Clippers can't go down 2-0, or
Yeah.
else I think it's going to be too rough. There are some series where it's like going down 2-0 isn't necessarily the end all be all. And I don't think that necessarily will be tonight either. But I think the Clippers, the way they lost game one, they have to win tonight. So I'm going Clippers. I think Clippers are going to tie it up.
All right, we'll see what happens after tonight's game. So it should be interesting to see if either me or Keith's predictions came too. But yeah, guys, that is it for this episode of recapping game 1 of the NBA playoffs of round 1, as well as our reactions to the 3 finalists for the end of season awards for the 2024-2025 NBA season. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Subscribe to the YouTube page at Hoops All In. Subscribe to Keith's uh, YouTube page at Keith HAI. Don't forget to follow us on our social media at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Also, for you audio podcast listeners out there, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. So for you who like to listen to your weekly or daily podcast, subscribe to us, listen to us on there. So again, for another episode of Hoops All In, I'm your host, Walls Francois, co-host Keith Bazin. Signing off. We'll be back here next time to continue to cover the NBA playoffs. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.